March is coming to an end, and with it, the first quarter of 2022 is in the books, and we can look ahead to April and a new chapter. The first period in 2022 has been a fascinating one. We came into the year with momentum, but of course there was a global sell-down with corrections across many of the leading global indices. We've had geopolitical tensions, inflation uncertainties, and of course questions about what the interest rate narrative could be moving forward. We're now positioned heading into April. Today we'll be talking about 3 different ASX stocks to watch for the month up ahead. And in fact, we've added in a bonus one at the end, playing in the electric vehicle space because of course, it is a sector that's attracting a lot of attention at the moment. As we go through, I'd love to know your thoughts on it all, so drop in a comment below which companies you've got on your watch list for the month of April. And of course, it goes without saying, I'm not a financial advisor. The stocks we cover, they're not buy recommendations. I'm just a bloke on the internet who likes talking about stocks. These videos, hopefully they're an interesting starting spot for you to go away and do your own research from. But obviously, these companies, many of them have already had recent runs up. In fact, some of them are coming in on the back of some real momentum. But today, we're just talking about companies that are positioned fascinatingly for April, whether it's because they've had previous catalysts that's attracting a lot of attention, or maybe because of some upcoming news flow that mean investors are starting to sit up and watch them. And so, stock number 1, Lithium Resources. ASX LRS is a company playing in the early stage exploration space. They've got a range of different assets in 2 key locations in Latin America, as you can tell by the name, and in Australia as well, playing across a range of different resources and commodities. But quite interestingly, today they had some significant high-grade drilling results that attracted a lot of attention onto the ASX LRS story and saw their market cap soar through the $100 million market cap level. So who is Lithium Resources? They've got an Australian deposit of kaolin halloysite, which they've actually proven up into a JORC resource recently. And in Latin America, they've got a range of different early stage assets in the lithium and copper space. It's early stage exploration, of course. We'll talk about where they're currently positioned. They've proven up that JORC resource for the kaolin halloysite, as we said. But Salinas is in a good region, and that's garnering a lot of excitement for their Salinas projects that they currently are owners of. As you can see here from the visual on the right, they actually have quite a good spread and breadth of projects from Argentina to Peru to Brazil within Latin America. But of course, a lot of the attention today has centered around some really outstanding drilling results that started to come through. And so as you can see here, high-grade lithium is no exaggeration. It's only the first assay results from their initial 2 drill holes. They've got other drill holes that they're awaiting results from. But as we can see here, top-tier assay results with the presence of high-grade lithium in the pegmatites. And as you can see, there's a peak individual grade of above 3%. So often you see 2 to 3% for these types of grades. Obviously, it's still early stage, further results coming through. But as mentioned, they did have some other drill holes that are still in the works that they're waiting assay results from. And if these are the early ones, it's quite fascinating to see what could be coming moving forward. And so you might be wondering, what are some of the future catalysts for Lithium Resources? As mentioned, their Salinas lithium drilling has commenced. The first 2 drill holes for 1 and 2 came through today, but there's a lot of excitement now starting to build up about what the next drill holes 3 and 4, with the thickness as well that's been seen, could mean for the story. They're also in the process of working towards a pre-feasibility study for their Cloud9 kaolin halloysite resource in Australia. And along with that too, once they have their Salinas lithium results coming through on the assay side, they are hoping to prove up a JORC resource in the coming months towards the back end of 2022. This of course doesn't factor in any potential news flow surrounding the Catamarca resource that they have, as well as the Peru copper where drilling will be commencing. So Lithium Resources, it's in the early stages, but there are a lot of eyes starting to move towards the ASX LRS story. As you can see here today, we're just having a high level overview and look into a couple of different companies. If you are interested in some deeper dives into some of the companies we explore, we'll leave links up above that you can check out after this one. But keen to know your thoughts on them all. And then stock number 2, Imugene. ASX IMU truly were one of the top performers on the ASX indice throughout 2021. Many will remember IMU's meteoric rise throughout the year, and they've really continued delivering in terms of company progression with a significant number of announcements to start 2022. The share price has come off since some of the peaks throughout 2021, but of course we've seen a global correction and IMU has not been immune to that. However, what is interesting about the Imugene story is if you think about really the 3 key components to biotech progression for the companies, what are they trying to do? Of course, research and development as well as clinical development, really proving and developing out their technologies on that one side. Then, as they continue to do that, protecting their technologies that they've developed with patent protection. And then on the third side, once all of these boxes have been ticked, if successful, and there's excitement surrounding what they've developed, then of course, moving towards commercial agreements. I think what's been fascinating about Imugene is they haven't been focusing on just one pillar. They have a lot of shots on goal, as their CEO and Managing Director Leslie Chong says, but many of their recent announcements to start 2022 have really been across all of these three core pillars. And so starting with some of the clinical development highlights, as we can see here with CheckVac, they've reached this next milestone with dose escalation now in their phase 1 clinical trial for their virotherapy CheckVac. Of course, in phase 1s, the key focus is always about safety, and CheckVac has proven to be safe with no dose limiting toxicities, which is of course the major positive and that box that you're trying to tick. And then there's been no serious adverse reactions, which means they're now able to proceed onto the second cohort and see what they're able to acquire there in terms of insights. And then on the other side of the oncolytic virus platform, Imugene have just recently received ethics approval to start a phase 1 clinical trial of their oncolytic virotherapy vaccinia in the USA. This is a major milestone, obviously, for the team, as they've been able to bring their virus through and now they're able to test for their safety and efficacy within patients. So investors will be continuing to watch to see the effects that it has, not only in terms of the opportunities it could present, but first and foremost, for everything that Imugene and biotechs around the world are doing, for the tangible impact and difference that it could potentially make for patients around the world. And then the third stock to watch for April 2022 is Lake Resources. ASX LKE has had a phenomenal uplift. We've done a number of videos for Lake Resources over the past few days, so we'll leave links up above to some of those that you can check out after this one. But Lake has brought out another major announcement and a milestone in terms of a memorandum of understanding to move towards negotiation for an offtake for their flagship Kachi Lithium project. Of course, they recently announced that the base case for Kachi, they're uplifting from 25k tonne per annum to 50,000 tonne per annum. And this MOU is with Hanwa from Japan for 25,000. So it's for half of the proposed base case of throughput. And most importantly, they're looking for a long-term strategic partnership here. It's not like it's a shorter term partnership where they're just extracting the resource and sending it off. What they want is to have a partnership. When you look at some of the language here, Hanwa intends to cooperate with Lake not only in just marketing and distributing the product, but also in coordinating a strategic and sustainable supply chain that they want to build out and co-develop together. Lake Resources have always been quite vocal about how they want to be able to build out and be involved in a sustainable supply chain. Obviously, their DLE process has got an ESG component and an ESG benefit in terms of the lithium that is produced. And so Hanwa is also considering a meaningful equity investment as well in order to build out a solid and sustainable partnership with Lake Resources. Please note, it is a non-binding MOU. Of course, there's further negotiations and discussions to be had. So this is just, I guess, the first milestone or the first flag in the journey onto what investors are hoping will eventually become a binding offtake agreement. Of course, as mentioned, this is for 25,000 tonne per annum. It does leave Lake Resources with some utility and flexibility to negotiate another offtake potentially, or potentially a couple, depending on the size of those. So investors will continue to watch for that news as well. And so with Lake Resources, what happens next? As mentioned, we've done a range of different videos deep diving into Lake Resources, so we'll leave some of those video links up above that you can check out after this one. Lake does continue to push towards all-time highs. Seems like it was just yesterday, it was pushing through the $1 mark, but it's now not far off that $2 mark. We know that Lake Resources recently established their Target 100, which is for 100,000 tonne per annum, becoming a globally significant producer by 2030. There's a couple of key milestones up ahead in terms of the DFS and ESIA due in this upcoming quarter, in the June quarter. Demonstration plant on site started moving over towards there, so investors are waiting for news about an operational demonstration plant on site. Of course, uncommitted offtake at this stage still presents an opportunity. There's been some discussions and mentions from Steve at Lake that they may look to discuss and announce another offtake potentially after their DFS comes out. So that leaves them with a bit of wiggle room if the DFS is coming out in this quarter. And it is worth noting as well that they've recently raised capital at the market, but along with that as well, there's an options expiring in the next few months, which will bring in some more capital to the kitty as well for ASX LKE. And so the bonus stock to discuss today is Tesla. Tesla has had a phenomenal run up over this past period, and some exciting news is that Tesla is considering a second stock split in 2 years. Before we talk about the TSLA story, if you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Feel free to share it out as well. We make daily videos each and every day. So if you haven't yet, make sure you've subscribed, turn your bell notifications on so you won't miss any of our daily episodes. We'd love to have you join the community. So Tesla have recently requested approvals necessary to facilitate this stock split. Their share price rose up by 8% on the day, back through the $1,000 USD mark. As we know, stock splits increase liquidity and potentially public perception about ability to purchase shares, but they don't actually affect the fundamentals surrounding the shares. We do know that Tesla recently did a 5-for-1 split as near as August 2020, so it was only a couple of years ago. It's not often you see so many stock splits in short succession, but it really does speak to the rapid and meteoric uplift that the TSLA share price has had now that they're back into the 4-digit stock number already, back at the $1,000 mark. As we stated, stock splits, they change the price per share. Maybe this influences perception and sentiment, but it does not affect the overall value of those holdings. I think what was interesting about Tesla as well just recently was that Giga Berlin is now officially opened. It's Tesla's first European manufacturing facility. We know that Europe is one of the fastest growing electric vehicle regions in the world. There's significant demand as well as support from the regulatory bodies there to facilitate this electric vehicle transition. Previously, Tesla was exporting from China, the vehicles that they made to Europe, but now they have a capacity of up to 500,000 EVs annually once it's at full capacity, and that will obviously help to supply into the European region. It's a $5 billion plus gigafactory. It's significant. As you can see here, the mercurial Elon Musk was dancing at the opening of the factory. He was excited. It was his long-term dream coming into reality, and hey, that's always exciting to see. I think what's fascinating about this is there's so many gigafactories coming online. We know there are a lot in different sectors. There's always a lot of excitement about gigafactories, both for OEMs as well as potentially battery manufacturers. But we know that gigafactories can come online in a number of years, but raw material supply takes a lot longer to bring online. So as we see this happen, as demand continues to rise, will supply be able to keep up? And if not, as we all know, what does that potentially mean for many of these electric vehicle battery materials resource providers? It's a fascinating story. Keen to know your thoughts on it all. Drop in a comment below. Thank you so much for joining us. And for now, stay well and happy investing.